Hello everybody and welcome to episode 10 of Let's Race with Cone. This is the season finale of season 2. I've just kind of been in an experimental season, just kind of feeling out how to make things work with iRacing. So bear with me with the format changes episode to episode and stuff like that. But hopefully I'll get everything in line and set to a standard for next season, which I'll get into later what the plans are for that. But for now, let's hit the track at Road Atlanta in the McLaren. So here we are on the grid, coming down the hill. We got the DP field pretty far ahead, not as much gap as I typically like, but a pretty well staggered McLaren field. As always with these races, green flag falls in the worst places when you got a split field like that. I really wish it would split the field like they do in Real Grand Am, where GT would actually just be starting at the same point just later on, if that makes any sense. But besides that complaining, actually a pretty good start here. Got a nice little gap to the cars behind. No real drama off the start, which is nice. This race I actually found through the iRacing forum really good setup that was pretty dramatically different than the setup I practiced qualified with. I did do maybe 20-30 minutes of practice with this setup, and it wasn't necessarily that it was faster in the short run or faster lap times that were coming out of it. It just felt more comfortable, and especially later on. Looking at that setup now, it's actually really low on tire pressure. A lot lower than I've run ever in this car. And it kind of becomes apparent here, it's a little skatey on these low tire pressures. It's another one of those races where only the top 3 cars qualified. So already in the back of my mind, before this race even starts, I'm realizing that there's going to be guys flying up through here running a second lap faster. Here comes one now. Nice clean move through turn 1. A pretty difficult place to pass. But when you're done, when it's done like that, it works out just fine. Car as well, going at a pretty good clip, but I follow the 11 here right into the dirt. That's what you get for not following the line and following the car in front of you. So coming through here is going to be the primary passing spot at this track. People get a great draft down the backstretch, and you got this super hard braking zone where if you get the car here, basically the car outside has to just surrender the spot because you're going to wreck both of you if you try. So once again, nice little clean pass. Nothing to complain about there. I'm just trying to settle into a good spot and ride it out for a while. Back to these 50-minute races. Starting to get a little bit more comfortable at this point. It's always easier when you got somebody in the general proximity of your times to follow. For some reason, it just makes the whole track seem a lot easier. The 11 car's going to run away just a little bit, about 2 seconds at this point, and the 9 car had been staying, about a second behind. all of a sudden he makes a huge dive bomb into here. I don't know if that was just accidental late braking or what. It left me pretty distracted. Right there, early on, this race is over. Caught the curb just a little bit, just enough to upset it, and rather than trying to turn right and save it, possibly collecting somebody else, I just turned left and ditched it into the wall. So you can see here, just a little bit of curb, and see, I tried to catch it, but it snapped back into the wall, and it was hurt pretty bad. So unfortunately, that race was over. So much later on in the week, I had a problem getting these races to go what they call official, meaning there's enough cars in them for the race to count. I'm not really sure why that was. There was always a lot of people practicing, and I don't know, it just seemed like I could never get in a full room. We do eventually here get into a pretty good little pack. I believe there was 20 cars in total in this race, which is a pretty healthy amount. Not nearly as good at the start as I got last time. Again, only 4 people qualified, so being very mindful of cars coming from the back. But right in the start here, that I'm in a pack that's running reasonable times. Honestly, after how the race started last time, and I knew the car was going to be a little funny with the low tire pressures off the start, I was kind of taking it super easy, letting people go, and just wanted to get through that first 10 minutes of the race without incident. A little bit deep into there. It all works out. As much as this turn ruined my last race, it's actually become one of my favorite turns to this track. I don't know what it is. It just seems like I have a little bit better line through there than some people, and it ends up being a really good spot of the track. Again, kind of working myself into a little bit of an empty spot on the track. Get the tire pressures up, get times down, and then we'll try and start racing some people. To me, these 50-minute races seem like an eternity. I can't imagine. 50 minutes it's at an average Grand Am race. That's a little bit short of what a full stint would be. But in their endurance races, they're talking 2-3 hours at a time. I don't know that my heart could take it. It's just, especially in this car, this track, which is a pretty easy driving car. It's just, there's a lot of intensity in just trying to keep yourself square and centered. I'm trying to swing right there. I keep seeing everybody do it. Everybody that's running within, top 5 or so times is swinging wide there. It does not work for me, and I don't know why. But I will try and do it this entire race, just to try and be a conformist. The 7 car and the 2 cars trying to make a little bit of a move on me, and I think maybe the yellow flag distracted me or something, and got a little loose right there. So I'm definitely in position to lose 2 spots here. See that run down the backstretch? not quite got it, but I see him starting to poke the nose, and it's just better off to let him by. Honestly, I kind of wish I hadn't done that. As it often goes, I let him by because I thought he was faster, and in reality, we were actually really competitive, so there was no reason for me to let him by there. The 2 car, on the other hand, he was fast, so there was plenty of reason to let him by.
Clock. Player definitely doesn't like the curve coming down the hill there.
I told him if he had watched the first episode, he would have known. Don't go on those curves. So once again here, I'm letting off. I don't know why. I had a good run. I could have passed him. Letting off, let the 2 car just fly on by me. Which, in reality, I kind of wanted to do anyway. I did feel as though he was faster. He deserved to be ahead of me. See that tricky pass through turn 1. Makes it work. Puts me right back on the back bumper of the 7. That turn ends up being somewhere where you could make a move if you get a good run off of there. It's a little double apex down here at the end. Could set you up for a pass, but I never saw anybody successful with that. I never found an opportunity to make that work. So it does seem like turn 1 and then down here on the backstretch seem like the 2 best passing opportunities. Little blocking going on there. And that 2 car outbreaks himself, as I like to say, and ends up going back behind us. So, back in the 4th place, back in a contention to fight for a podium, which is something I really wanted to accomplish this season. There we go, trying that wide line again. At this point, I'm pretty much going to settle into a little groove and just kind of ride behind the 7. I like the way he was racing. He was racing a very respectful line, so I had no problems tailing him for a while. But one of the easiest things to do, he just spins the tires off of there. And if you spin the tires coming off that turn, it kills your whole run down the backstretch. So fairly easily, I actually managed to get back by him. So in the end, letting him by earlier wasn't a complete mistake. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself. So at this point, finally, up in 3rd place. And much later on, I just kind of got in between. I was kind of running down the 5 car, maybe half a second a lap, then he'd pull away for half a second. It was a very slow attempt to try and catch him, but I was happy with my pace. D2 car has gotten back around the 7 and is starting to launch that pursuit. But I've also got the leader in DP coming up here. So pretty good place to let him by. Coming down through the S's there, though, there was no way to let him by, and that's just kind of part of this racing game. Sometimes the DPs are going to get trapped behind you. It's just, there's no other safe way to let them by. But what that does is let the 2 get right up on me. That's how you break defensively through there. If you just kind of angle yourself towards the apex, you're not blocking, but you're not giving anybody the opportunity to stick their nose in there. Had a good lap. That's the first time in this race I gotten back down to the 21s. And I ended up after this clicking off quite a few 21s. Through here. Somewhere I hadn't had any issues. Just maybe a little too much curb and got it upset enough to have to let him by. So from there he just runs away, and actually you can see he's up to second place. So he was really quick. But here's the most frustrating thing that happened in this race. This DP, which the DPs are about 4 or 5 seconds a lap quicker than the McLarens. I don't know if he just didn't know the track or what, but he was really slow in the turns, but then would fly by you on the straightaway. So coming down the S's here, I get stuck behind him. So there's no reason that car should be that slow, and he should be on the brakes at this point. And in being offline and a little bit checked up, somehow it manages to spin around. Luckily, the 7 car narrowly misses running me over, but that throws me back to 5th place and a very good margin behind. Coming down to the end of the race now, still a pretty good margin behind 4th place, and got a nice comfortable gap to 6th place, letting some DP leaders come by. Great spot to let them by.
All clear, all clear.
I have to say, racing with the DPs in this car is just 1,000 times better than racing them in the Mustang. You feel like you at least have somewhat of a competitive car for them. You can see the DPs, more than anything, they really swing to the right there before they enter this turn. So there must be something to it. Just doesn't work for me. So I'm expecting there to be about 5 laps here, so I'm really conserving the tires and just kind of phoning it home. Catch a little bit of a lucky break. 7 car has a spin. It's a lazy spin, you can see the marks there. And in that, the DP cars came up right behind him. And you gotta let them by coming into here. After just spinning, usually you're a little freaked out and not exactly following your line. What that does is puts me right within striking distance. So instantly I just drop the hammer. So now on low fuel, which is nice, but tires that they're starting to give up a little bit. I'm running as hard as I have this entire race. Thankfully the 14 car gives way this time. Take me about a lap to really get into a fast groove again. It's funny, you settle down into a conservative line, and it's sometimes hard to step it back up. So while we're trying to run down the 7-car here, we'll discuss next season's plans a little bit. I've decided not to run another season of Grand Am. I just feel as though maybe I'm not quite prepared enough, and it's not as much fun to me if I'm not competitive. And I don't feel as though I'm confident enough in my driving to be racing door-to-door in these cars as aggressively as I'd like to be. So next season, the Kia Optima GTS car for the World Challenge is going to be released. I don't know what series it's going to be running in, but as of now, I'm pretty sure that's the car I'm going to try and run. And unlike this season, I want to do whole season in one series and just try and, I don't know, I'd like to win some races and maybe compete for a divisional championship, even if it's in a lower bracketed series. So not too much luck running down the 7 yet. I think I got 2, maybe 3 laps left in the race at this point. I generally think that if you're within a second, you're within the head of the guy in front of you. I mean that in the way that you start driving a little differently because you think you got to drive defensively. So that's where I'm trying to get. And I knew from earlier on that I was a little bit faster than he was. Great line through sector 2 there. Probably the best I've run that whole section. Good through the S's. Just that one good section brought me really close to that range I like to be in. Now we're getting somewhere. Not going to get much of a draft, not until you get, again, within that 1 second margin. As you can see, less than 5 minutes remaining in the race. Not a whole lot of time to work with. A little bit of a outside factor here with a lap car in the McLaren that we're going to have to pass. So sometimes you can use those cars as a pick. I don't really like to use that tactic, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So I'm lining myself up here to try that. Another good run through sector 2. To catch him in not the best places. I think all 3 of us about lose it right there. I'm gonna pull a draft off this lap car. Pulls over and lets me by. Realizes that we're fighting for position here late in the race. But now I'm right in his mirror, so I know he's going to be running maybe a little defensively, and maybe he'll make just enough of a mistake to let me by. That's really how I wanted to get by him, though. I didn't want to. I didn't feel confident enough in the car or the tires to try and pounce on him and make an aggressive pass. I kind of wanted him to slip somewhere and let me by, so I'm trying to play that the mind game of getting in his mirrors and making it seem like I'm really on the attack, even though I wasn't. I was in no intention to actually try and make a pass. Plenty of fuel left, so there's something we got right for a change. This is kind of an awkward position because he's guarding the left, and I noticed that right off the bat there, and I have a run, so I go to the right. Unfortunately, catch just enough dirt to drag the car off the track, and that great run that I had is really spoiled. In reality, I should have either just stayed behind him or tried to forcefully gone to the left, because I don't think there was. See, he's saying there, why don't you go to the inside? Because you were kind of blocking the inside. I didn't feel as though that was the opportunity to try and make that pass. But now instead of getting into his head, I've gotten into my own, so now I'm distracted, and as you can see here, I'm just not driving very well at all. Gotta head to the last lap. I'm gonna try and reel him in, but over a second back, probably not gonna happen. You can see by the tracker, I'm trying every bit I can. What is on pace of one of my best laps of the race on tires that were getting angry. So 9/10. If I had gotten maybe 2 more tenths within them, I probably could have drafted up to him, made a pass, or tried to make a pass here. And it didn't quite play out that way. And as it turns out, the second place guy at some point must have crashed or ran out of fuel, so this actually would have been for a podium. Just didn't realize it at the time. But overall, 4th place finish, a really good race. I enjoyed it. That was one of the cleanest and most fun McLaren races I've done, so I'm overall pleased. Here are the results. You can see 4th place in class. A nice little bump in the iRating, which I lost a lot from that first race, and a little bump in safety rating. So, like I said, this will be it for Grand Am, at least for a season or two. Next season, I do want to focus on one series, and I think it's going to be the Kia series, or something else. Something else, probably a little bit lower ranked than this, but I'm still fighting the same division people, so it's not as though the people are going to be any worse. It's just the car might be a little slower. But I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully everybody likes the format we've got now. That's probably what I'm going to be sticking to. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. More than willing to make some changes to make things more interesting, more helpful. But other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next season.